It's really about saying, no, this is a public institution with public responsibilities, with public investment in it. And we have a mutual responsibility for every child in the school, not just those within my classroom. The school I came from, when I arrived, highly competitive culture amongst teachers, highly competitive culture amongst students. This is my stuff for history. And, you know, you might get as good a results as I do at Year 12. So it's really important that people learn to share, not at a surface level, but at a deep level, about design of curriculum, about sharing what works in their classrooms, to talk about their failures and mistakes, so that we can collectively learn about how to make our way forward. It is not an individual activity. It's about a whole school approach and the outcomes of all of our children in our care. Now, I talked about going from chance to design before. It shouldn't matter who you have in front of you, that you're getting a high quality education. From personality to practice, I think this is the really tricky one. It's the tricky one around coaching and feedback. It's the difficult one around classroom observations. That it isn't just about my idiosyncratic history, personal history, training and experience that makes me a good practitioner or a poor one. That there is a body of knowledge and practice now about we know what works in classrooms. And it is really about going in together to talk about this thing called our practice of teaching, the art and science of teaching, and reflecting on it deeply together. Not just around personality. You know, look, I'm really good with senior school, you know, but look, don't give me the preps, you know. I'm really great at teaching physics, but don't give me the Year 8 maths class, you know, because I'm skilled at that. It's about the practices that we bring to bear, and they need to be able to be critiqued in such a way that it doesn't diminish the person, that when in the feedback loop that it honours the person and doesn't diminish them and allows them to learn their way forward. It's about moving from external accountability, about the accountability that comes from systems. And increasingly we've seen this, you know, the standards movement and the accountability movement that many of us decry in terms of standardised testing regimes, benchmarking, testing, all of these things have arisen because there is a public investment of public funds into education. It's one of the largest outlays from a government. And we saw some of the findings in the newspapers about the Auditor General's report, asking the question that, you know, over 10 years there's been $1 billion investment in government school education. Where are the results? It's a fair question. You know, when you're in education, you're not happy for that question necessarily to be asked, but you're quite happy to ask it about, you know, the public health system or policing or anything else, but, you know, we don't quite want that turned on us. And so it drives people to put inappropriate forces and mechanisms to try and make people accountable from the outside. But the strongest level of accountability is we have a shared vision here. We have an explicit set of norms about our professional conduct, and we hold each other to account. And that's the most difficult stuff. You know, how often it is that if you're in a senior leadership position or a leadership position, one of your team members will come to you and say, look, you know, so-and-so didn't turn up to that meeting again. You know, what are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? You know, I didn't go to the meeting. That's not my team, you know. Or, you know, so-and-so turns up late to class all the time. Or that person, you don't see them on yard duty. You know, I don't know where they are, but they don't turn up. And all of that somehow gets trafficked to the top of the pyramid. That somehow the power of your office will shape behaviour better than somebody saying, come on, you know, what's going on? Can you please be on time? Resetting the norms within a meeting, having a chat to your colleagues. That's the power of that is what really, and then being accountable to each other for the most important work, which is how well are we actually doing with this work of raising achievement and improving student learning and wellbeing in our school community. That's the test. That's the litmus test. So what are some of the things that high-performing schools have? And you might be able to, there's lots of lists of these things, and you'll hear a little bit more about it from Vic Zabar as part of this AIZ professional development. And it really is about leadership, and it's about leadership in the middle, with the senior leadership. It's really about that distributed leadership that's aligned and committed to the work, but which is a kind of precondition in some ways to being able to do the work. And I think that then these other things kind of flow from that. A focus on instruction, on teaching and learning all the time, and not getting distracted about it. I mean, it would be very easy to say at each of the meetings, let's have somebody as part of our action research that just does an inquiry. If we've got an hour and a half block committed to a meeting, what percentage of that time was actually used where the conversation was directly focused on the instructional core? And then you can do analysis and say, well, look, that's our goal, that's our overarching purpose, but we don't commit our time and our resources in that way to it. What are we going to do? Newsletters, email, to get rid of the technical stuff that clogs up meetings that can be done in another creative way to free up time to really do and create space for those conversations.